As a filmmaker, learning how to conduct interviews effectively is an integral skill. Whether you're shooting corporate videos, documentaries, or brand stories, interviews are often the backbone of these films, so it's worth taking the time to hone this skill just as you would learning to fly a drone or a gimbal. In that spirit, I've put together a list for you of some of the most self-sabotaging mistakes, all of which I've made, that will ruin your corporate video interviews. Let's go. And that's when I knew that she was dead. And why do you think some people still think that Friends is better than Seinfeld? Mistake 1, being too rigid with your questions and not responding appropriately to the human being in front of you. So someone might tell you something incredible or devastating. You've got to ensure you're listening and reading the room. If all you're doing is rattling off a list of prearranged questions, they may as well be getting asked by a robot. Now, you may be worried you won't capture everything you need to if you're not ticking off every question, but there's a really simple way to circumvent this and also have a natural human conversation. Split the interview into 2 parts with a short break in the middle. You've got to know your brief, but the first half, the longer half, just relax and really engage with the talent until the conversation comes to a natural conclusion. Then take a short 3 to 5 minute break. You can check your notes, confer with the client and crew, even the talent, and then cover any key points that still need to be addressed. And if you need to get more specific with how you need certain responses delivered, this is your time to guide your talent through that. I'll usually have notes on hand for this shorter half of the interview, but by this time the talent is usually less put off by my occasional looking down at them after having shared a genuine conversation with me. You know, so it's funny you say that because the other night I finally watched The Evil Dead and holy shit, that movie is a masterpiece. Do you know how old Sam Raimi was when he made that? Sorry, what's Evil Dead? 20! He was 20 years old! What a talented prick! I'm in my mid-30s! What have I done? Mistake number 2, making it about you. It's not about you. You're just a conduit for the talent. Absolutely, there's a need to give a little of yourself to establish some trust and make it a real conversation instead of question, answer, but keep it reined in, keep it concise. Just because something the talent said reminds you of the time your sister found your special book collection doesn't mean that they need to know about it. And that's how, that's what we were doing with it. Sorry, this is really hard. No, honestly, it's fine. It's going really well, We're getting some really good stuff, right guys? Mistake 3, telling your talent it's going well when you and they know it isn't. Respect your talent's intelligence. They'll know you're being disingenuous. If they're struggling with nerves, don't ignore it and tell them they're doing great. It's insincere and the talent will feel that. Instead, acknowledge their struggle and help them work through their nerves. Otherwise, you're just wasting everybody's time. What you can try doing is asking them what they are trying to say, just to talk that through, not worrying about getting it in a 10 or 15 second soundbite. A lot of the time when people start to talk through what they're struggling to communicate, they start to communicate it in a more natural way, which is exactly what you want. And that leads me to mistake 4. Talent often struggles if they have a preconceived idea of what they want to say, and if they can't say it exactly, they fall apart. And this happens because they've been given the questions ahead of the interview, and they're trying to parrot or remember, or worse, read something they've written down. And we don't talk the way we write. It ends up looking like a bad actor that doesn't know his lines trying to recite a bad Captain Kirk speech.
Because Dr. McCoy is right.
I lied, there are no bad Captain Kirk speeches, but I digress. To avoid this, never share questions. Choose your talent based on their knowledge, expertise or experience, as well as their ability to communicate. Share key points, issues or content areas that you discuss, but never the exact questions. It has the uncanny ability of turning smart people into inarticulate people. And you know, that's how we ultimately solve the problem. Sorry if I went on a bit there. Don't worry about that, because even though you're talking like this much, we're just gonna grab little nuggets and edit the shit out of them. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be awesome. Mistake 5, you're trying to capture authenticity within what is ultimately a very contrived setting. Don't make it harder by reminding your talent that it's a manufactured conversation. Your goal is for them to forget about the cameras and the lights, the boom and hitting the points, and just talk to you in a very honest way. It's your job to guide the conversation so that they cover what you need them to in a way that feels invisible to them. To get authentic responses, to get to the heart of someone's story, you've got to keep it simple and not say anything that takes the talent out of the moment, which is just talking to you. In the beginning, it was...
Difficult? Was it difficult?
It was a challenge not to get frustrated.
You've got to keep your eye on that. Frustration leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to vengeance.
Well, I'm finding this quite challenging. Real quick, simple mistake. Check yourself. Make sure you're truly listening and not just waiting for your chance to speak. Never talk over your talent and allow a couple of seconds of silence after they finish before you begin speaking. Gosh, you're looking really good. Really good. Have you been working out? Well, I started doing CrossFit casually about 2 years ago. That is so profound. Yeah, well, I was having some mobility issues. Can you stop smiling at me like that? You're freaking me out. Mistake 7, make sure it's a comfortable environment for an interview, but don't butter up your talent. Don't stroke their ego. Firstly, like mistake 3, they'll know you're doing it. And secondly, that's how you end up with corporate wank. And although you never want your talent to feel uncomfortable, don't be afraid of challenging them. You don't need to smile and nod the whole time as if everything they're saying is gold. If they're giving you superficial answers, don't be afraid of challenging them to go deeper. Most people will rise to the occasion if you level with them that you think they're being too shallow with their answers. When people rise to meet that challenge, when they allow themselves to be vulnerable and open up, that's when you can capture some gold that the audience is going to feel. Some people just need a little nudge to get there. And that's it. That's the end of the video. So until next time, see you later.